And welcome to Bible Journaling 66 and our new series on the 70 Weeks of Daniel, Part 2. Last week, we began our study in Daniel. We began looking at Daniel chapter 2 and Nebuchadnezzar's vision of a colossal statue made of gold, silver, bronze, and iron. It ended with the feet being made of iron mixed with clay. And we saw a stone cut out without hands that crashed into the image and destroyed the statue. When we looked at Daniel chapter 7, and we saw a vision there of 4 beasts, and we learned these 4 beasts were representative of the parts of the statue in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and how they represented 4 world empires. In this last part, we're going to focus on Daniel chapter 9, which we read in the last episode, verses 24 through 27. And we'll break these verses down one by one so we can get a better understanding of what God's message is. So we'll begin with verse 24 of chapter 9, where the angel Gabriel introduces the vision. And he says, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city. Now the original Hebrew, it says 70 sevens or heptads. What needs to be determined is 70 sevens of what? So let's look at Genesis chapter 29. Here we find the story of Jacob coming to work for Laban, and he falls in love with Laban's daughter, Rachel, and he agrees to work for 7 years for her hand. Laban deceives him, and he wound up married to her older sister, Leah. So he strikes a deal to get Rachel as his bride, and Laban says this in verse 27, fulfill her week, and we shall give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. So in this example, the word week is synonymous with years. Let's go on. Another example would be Numbers chapter 14, verse 34. After the number of days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise. A little background here. The Jews had wandered and came to Kadesh Barnea, and they were before the promised land. And they decided to send in 12 spies. And out of the 12 spies, only 2 had a good report. And the people were distressed, and they lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night. And they decided that they wanted to go back to Egypt. So God punishes them by making them wander in the wilderness for 40 years until that entire generation died off. And let's look at one more. Ezekiel 4, verse 6. And when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. I have appointed thee each day for a year. From these verses, we can see the divine scale of prophetical chronology is a day stands for a year. Applying this scale to the 70 weeks, we find that 70 weeks or 70 sevens equals 490. That would be 490 years. So finishing up verse 24, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city. And then we find that there are 6 things that will happen: to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up the vision and the prophecy, and finally, to anoint the most holy. Well, thanks for watching. And please like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. We appreciate everyone's input. Until next time, Maranatha.